ShiftPixy, the dual list on the Upstream blockchain exchange. Here to tell us more is co-founder and chief executive officer Scott Absher. Scott, give us the 411 here. This is very exciting, but walk people through it.
Sure. You know, one of the things that I've been a big follower of the capital markets for well over 30 years. And one of the things that I was particularly annoyed by that was out of our control as a company was the use of shorting or naked shorting as a way to profit from a small or weak company. It was really a bullying technique. So I started paying attention to this issue way back before Reg Show, and I started following people or listening to people like Patrick Byrne at Overstock. And I started. I have a couple of friends they're very involved in the surveillance side of the equities markets. And there's an exploit. That's the way I view it from a software developer's vantage point. That there's an exploit in the markets that goes uncorrected, and it's done so because it's the rationale is that it maintains liquidity in the markets. And what it is there's an exception for market makers to be able to sell a stock that they don't have. Which is a naked sale. And they're able to do that, again, because they're trying to create liquidity and efficiency in the market. And the strategy is they're supposed to locate those shares. And DTC is kind of the central arbiter of that ledger. The problem is that that system is flawed. And what happens is some of the bad actors in that space, they mismark or don't mark those tickets. And they'll sit in and they'll use dark pools to trade. In the early days, there were only 3 exchanges in the U.S. Now there's 14. So now they have lots of places to hide this, and a lot of it's hiding in the clearing houses and that sort of thing. So I had a very chance conversation with when we took the company public via Reg A Plus, with one of the co-chairs of NASDAQ, and who actually authored Reg A Plus as an offering framework. And I thought it was very innovative. What they were doing was clearly designed for early stage companies. And it was a great methodology for bringing a company out public, which we did in 2017. But in my conversation with him, he was very interested in knowing about the experience, since he was the author of this path into the capital markets. And I said, you know, it was all great. Everything was, the whole process was great. I said, you forgot one thing. He said, what's that? I said, you know, there used to be a time when early stage companies were not marginable, and they were not able to be abused by market menaces. And I said, that would have been the thing you guys should have included in this framework. Yeah. And I said, absent that, and all these little companies are going to get slaughtered. And we did. We got chopped down right away. The markets manipulated us into oblivion. And we've had to fight that several times in our business life. But I said, you know, you've been hacked. I said, if I were a bad state actor or in organized crime, this exploit could be manipulated by anybody, and particularly rogue or bad actors. Or people with they don't really care about these companies. That's an illusion. It's just a trade, and they run it through a black box, an algorithm, and it's completely dispassionate. They don't care that they're crushing little companies that are trying to get going. They're crushing, they're just crushing investors that do participate.
Yeah.
So one of the things he asked me in that conversation in 2017 was, what do you think the solution is? I said, the solution is here, and it's in conversation now, but it's going to take a root at some point, and that is encrypted equities. I said, where all the trades and transactions are cleared on a blockchain, where there is no opportunity for people to screw around with or manipulate. That the trade is the trade. There is no it's no T+3 or any of that kind of stuff. So I had expressed that, and I'd been watching that, and then suddenly I saw about last year or a little earlier that Patrick Byrne, who was then CEO of Overstock, they built their own digital exchange. or encrypted exchange, and they actually did a dividend out to that on that encrypted exchange of encrypted equities for their shareholders. So that caught my attention. Started socializing my observations with people that I knew in the surveillance community, and they said, if you're thinking about doing that, they said, let's talk. And I was introduced to Horizon, who runs and sponsors a blockchain exchange called Upstream, and got to spend a lot of time with them, got to spend a lot of time understanding where they were going. And they were in very nice alignment with everything that we were doing with our digital assets and how we were pursuing minting our own NFTs, and where we thought we could monetize or where we could tokenize those, even in our customer loyalty being tokenized. They were on the same page that we were, and they saw that future. And so we decided to dual list ShiftPixy on the Upstream exchange, and that'll be a blockchain exchange. And what we're working through the mechanics now of exactly what's going to trade and how it's going to trade. But now investors can buy in the blockchain exchange, and their stock won't get manipulated where it would in some of the other conventional exchanges. So it's a very interesting approach, and again, I'm pretty passionate about it, having spent a lot of years looking at the issue and looking at a cure. And I think that this relationship and this listing on Upstream is going to be very exciting for shareholders.
Yeah, Scott. When it comes to the history of these naked shorts and things that have happened in the past, I guess one thing that people might be able to recall from would be the AMC GameStop fiasco that largely happened. If you guys want some good examples of this there. And what's also interesting, Scott, is that most people, when they think about cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology, they don't think about it somehow making things more secure. But in its essence, that's definitely what it does fully. Yep. So you're going to see a lot more of this. In my personal opinion, you're going to see a lot more of companies doing this, where they go to the blockchain, not necessarily for the speculative aspects of the currencies, but more so for the actual protective public ledger encrypted nature of the blockchain itself.
Yeah, we've been a big fan and follower of this type of encryption, because we handle a very sensitive human capital data in our core business. And so when we started building our platform, that was one of the things that we wanted to pursue very early on, was blockchain as a means to securitize this data. We ended up not going that way. We had sufficient security around some of the things that we were doing, but that's always been on our radar. This will be one of our first times, now that we spent so much time looking at blockchain security. This is a perfect use case for it. It's a perfect use case for using an encrypted methodology in a secure ledger, and again, where nobody can manipulate it. And what we're looking at doing is creating a new class of encrypted shares. And then we would probably, to seed that market, one of the contemplations is that we would do a dividend, an encrypted dividend for all the ShiftPixy shareholders. So that in line with what we're also talking about doing, and we talked about doing earlier with our spinoff, that would also, ShiftPixy Labs would also trade on the blockchain exchange, and it would be part of that dividend structure as well.
Wonderful. So, Scott, I guess that leaves us with the last question. When can ShiftPixy shareholders expect to know more about what's going on with this? Where should they go, and so on?
Yeah, stay tuned. In the coming weeks, our plan here is to disseminate a lot of information, and we're unpacking our next steps in these marketplaces, and the things that are lining up for us on the revenue production side. Coming into the end of the year here, but September will be a month full of that kind of information.
Perfect. Well, Scott, thank you for the update today, and thanks for your insight. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't be afraid to leave your questions below, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Scott, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Michael.